Hi, I'm Mega. Today I will introduce you about Microgen. Microgen is one-stop solution for backend development. So you don't need to create your own backend. Simply make your front end, then you can connect to backend in Microgen or using Microgen. Here is the feature of the Microgen. You simply create your schema like this, then you can simply generate the code and it will generate a GraphQL code for you. So it have a read, pagination, complex querying, and create, update, delete for sure, authentication, authorization, socket, rule management, file upload, and so many more. You can always look at our documentation and our landing page. So to make it short, I will directly sign into Microgen and I will use my account, and then I will create a new workspace, for example my workspace, and then I will create a new project, for example blog, and then I create it. Then I will enter to my blog application, and here is how Microgen looks like. We have a schema.graphql here, so you can edit your schema as your application business model needs. If you don't familiar with schema, you always able to use our Schema Manager to make your work easier if you don't familiar with GraphQL. So here we have so many schema, but I will make it very simple. For example, I will delete my user because by default user is already generated for you, and user friend I will delete it, image, okay. I will just have the status, role, category, and post, and you can always sort it as you need to. Here we have a date, I don't think I need it, a text, status, okay. Comments, I don't need it because the comment is already gone, we have deleted it. And categories is many to category, and rating, and I don't need a price. So you can simply generate the code. The project is successfully generated, and look here, the schema also edited here. If in real time, if you, for example, you sort something like this, look at this, you have categories above rating. If you sort it like this, it will be real-time update, so you don't need to worry whether you in this step or this step. So we can just generate from here or just from this step. It's not so, it's all possible, and just simply click run, and here you can set something like Google Client ID for third-party authentication, S3 for file image upload, but and one signal for push notification, and SendGrid for email service. But all of this will provide for you in soon, so you don't need to set up these things. We have our Mejik storage and our Mejik push notification and Mejik email, so you don't have to think about it in the near future. Okay, and then I will configure later and simply run the project. We'll wait it. Okay, the project is ready at https blog blah 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 at .mejikid/graphql. We'll open it, and wow, we have our nicely GraphQL playground here. And you can always look at the docs what we can do, for example, as send email, create posts, and so many things you can do here. Okay, but if you don't familiar with GraphQL, one more time, you always able to use our Mejik table or Microgen table. Here I don't have a account. This account is not your main account in Microgen, but this is your user in this blog application. So you need to create a user. For example, I will set it the password as secret and Igan Raditya and raditya@gmail.com and register it. And the first user you register will be as admin role. So in Microgen also have a role management. So by default you will have admin and authenticated. This is a custom role that is from our schema. Then you have a nicely admin panel for your administrator. So you don't need to make it yourself. Here is user, and here is my, some posts. For example, I will try to create, okay, and the author is myself, for example, and the rating is 5, and the category is, oh no, I don't have a category, but I will try to save it. In here you have very easy to use table, and you can always export and import the data, group by the data, hide field, filter, sort, and do so many things here. And if you don't, but once again, if you don't familiar with GraphQL and you need to consume it on your front end and you don't know how to query, for example, these things, or for example, you will query without something like without categories, you just need to something like this, you can always use this copy query, and this query will be available for you. So it's very simple. So you just simply copy paste this on your front end and you will have this all data. That's Mejik. And also you have a monitoring metrics, so you can know your each service running or not, and it how many total requests, how many success rate, and so many things you can access here. And you also have a role management here. For example, what admin can do, what authenticated user can do, what editor can do, and etc. as each role. So authenticated admin can do almost everything in this action, and authenticated user only able to find something and get something and remove its own data, something like that. Then so it will make your work very easy, because make a role management manually will take about 1 to 2 months to get it running very well. So another thing that you can use on Microgen is Package Manager. Microgen is based on Node.js, is one of the technology that is used at the Microgen. And this, for example, you can add Moment.js as a Node.js library to be used on your custom code. If you don't familiar about custom code, you can always look at the documentation here on Microgen here, okay? And you always able to custom your function, custom your cron job, custom your API, and other things like that. So, okay, what about API? In this Microgen, it's not only GraphQL, but also you can use an API. For example, if you query on a post like this, and for example, I will get the ID and the text and the maybe author, name, first name, okay, like this. Then I got this Microgen based solution, first name, ega, etc. And you can also query this not only on GraphQL but also on REST API. How to use it? So it's very simple. Just copy this and change the last GraphQL to API/post, and voila, you get the get REST API just like a normal REST API. For more about REST API, you can always look at the documentation with where how to use the complex query, how to use on URL query, and etc. Okay. So another thing we have on Microgen is version manager. So you can always take a version. For example, I will take this version. Maybe I will take this version first. Take version without description. Okay, then I will change add a status to undone. Add undone on status, and then take one more version. Add more stages like this, and then I will always able to roll back to old stages, which is have no undone thing, and I can always back to the latest update which have undone on the status. So it's very simple to use Git, something like Git or version manager like this. And function, you also have a cron job, so you can do scheduling, something like scheduling. Just this is the example you can use. For example, console logging after each second, like something like that. And on API, you can always make custom API that you can access every time. The main thing is you can also switch the environment on production or development thing, because you don't want to mess your production. If you do something else or add new feature, you please make sure that it's running well on development first. Then you can always switch back to the production. That's all about Microgen. I think that's all the feature. But if you want more about the feature detail, you can always look at our documentation. Thanks for watching. See you, and I will wait you to use Microgen.